Hi, my name is Julie Pollock, and today I'd like to talk to you about the importance of breastfeeding infants. Here is my audience. And next we'll get to the slides. But before we begin, I'd like to let you know that the information gathered here is from La Leche, Ligue Internationale Breastfeeding A through Z, and Credo Reference. Infants should be breastfed because breastfeeding positively affects everyone by positively affecting both mom and baby, physically, emotionally, and psychologically. These effects occur through the breast milk composition, how the milk changes based on the child's needs, and even the contents of the infant's saliva. We'll be going over topics such as what is breastfeeding, what is breast milk, how does it change, how does this affect both mom and baby, what are the problems with breastfeeding, what are the solutions to these problems, how does breast milk compare to other alternatives, and the conclusions of breastfeeding infants. Breastfeeding is the act of feeding baby from mom's body. Breast milk is a naturally made, nutritionally sufficient food for infants, aiding them in physical growth, brain development, and even immunity. It is 100% nutritionally satisfactory for infants 0 to 6 months, but it can have beneficial effects for toddlers as well. It changes from colostrum to transitional milk within the first few days, and then graduates into mature milk after the first couple of weeks. Breast milk will change both in volume, based on the baby's growth rate, and based on the baby's gender, which the mom can detect in utero. Breast milk will continue to be produced as long as the baby feeds, starting out in infancy and continuing into toddlerhood. Breast milk contains many hormones such as oxytocin, and that is released when the baby breastfeeds, which initiates bonding behaviors between both mom and baby, and can even reduce postpartum depression in mom. Other hormones such as melatonin can help the baby to initiate REM cycles, and serotonin and dopamine can help the baby to continue having a great mood throughout childhood. Babies will also consume mom's calories when they breastfeed, allowing baby to grow at a sufficient rate and also helping mom to lose the extra pounds that she gained during pregnancy. Breastfeeding allows for continued communication between mom and baby. As baby breastfeeds, some of the saliva will be backwashed back into her breast tissue. If the infant is ill, these pathogens will come into mom's body. Her body can detect exactly what antibodies she needs to produce to help fight that infection. And breast milk will help fight these pathogens when those antibodies are released back into the infant. They can help cure anything from ear infections and respiratory infections to even leukemia and childhood asthma. Mom's breast milk can also contribute to a healthy intestinal flora in baby by producing bacteria that act as probiotics. This can reduce anything from colic to childhood obesity. Breast milk also affects brain development. As we probably all heard, it can increase a child's IQ, but it can also cut the risk of sudden infant death syndrome, which is an unexpected and undiagnosed sudden death. It can cut it in half by developing parts of the brain, such as the medulla oblongata, which helps us to breathe and our hearts beating even while we're asleep unconscious. Breastfeeding can reduce the risk of breast cancer in mom by helping to build up her bones after breastfeeding is over, and can also reduce her risk of breast cancer by allowing her to shed breast cells. A lowered estrogen level in mom while she's breastfeeding can act as a natural birth control for a certain duration of time while she's breastfeeding, and can work in conjunction with lowering sexual desire, which will allow mom's body to heal by spreading out her pregnancies with a good ratio of time. Diet and exercise are very important during breastfeeding, so these healthier foods going into mom's body can help her to develop a good lifestyle, and as we've probably all heard, exercising can also increase our mental state as well. Since baby eats whatever mom eats, this expanded diet through breast milk can help babies to be less picky eaters in the future and help them to integrate into their cultural diet. Since baby eats whatever mom eats, this is also why moms could limit the amount of alcohol and drug use in their system, which again can help her to live a healthier lifestyle. So what's wrong with breastfeeding? What are the problems and what are the solutions for both moms and babies? Well, contrary to some unpopular yet existing beliefs, breastfeeding is not inappropriate or sexual. It has been around from the beginning of time, since we are all mammals and all mammals breastfeed, and it is as natural as giving birth. Breastfeeding is, nope, it's not gonna work either. And this is the part where I have no idea what to say, so. The baby may wake up more times during the night if breastfed, but because of the different hormones that are released during breastfeeding, this can give the baby a good sleep cycle at night and give mom energy during the day. Breastfeeding will not make the child totally dependent on mom for the rest of their life. In fact, breastfeeding can initiate a good, healthy relationship between mom and baby, and the child's psychological state is largely dependent on the mother's parenting style instead. Breastfeeding can make moms feel a loss of autonomy, but in reality, any sort of feeding delivery system could make mom feel this, because babies should be held anytime that they are fed, and they need to be fed quite often. But really, breastfeeding moms can feel quite empowered because the milk that they are delivering for their babies is specifically made just for them. Thankfully, breastfeeding in public bathrooms has become a thing of the past. In fact, breastfeeding is now legal in all 50 states, so it can be done wherever and whenever the child is hungry. Breastfeeding can also be done at work, as more employers are being conscientious of breastfeeding moms and allowing them to either take their work home or sometimes bring their baby to work. And pumping is another option for breastfeeding moms that is quite convenient. However, an inconvenience for mom is milk let down at odd times, which can lead to stained clothes and even embarrassment. Thankfully, we have nursing bras and pads just for that to soak up the excess milk. Breastfeeding can be quite painful, but most of the time, this is due to an odd suckling position where a lactation consulting a lactation specialist can come in handy for them to rectify that issue. But there are also things like nipple guards which can alleviate that pressure. Engorgement is another painful condition that can be alleviated and even prevented if baby is not suckling enough by hand expressing or pumping milk. Mastitis is due to a clogged milk duct. This again can be alleviated by those other two methods of expressing milk, but can also be prohibited by using things like soothing balms to redo that part. I didn't say that. All right. I'm at 8 minutes. Mastitis, which is an infection of the breast caused by a clogged milk duct, can be... No, can't say it. One more time. Mastitis, which is an infection in the breast caused by a clogged milk duct, can be alleviated by those other two forms of expressing milk, but can also be prohibited by keeping the area clean and without cuts or scrapes to prevent pathogens from invasion using things like balms. Sometimes mothers can experience a milk shortage or may be fearful that their child is not receiving enough because breast milk is immeasurable. One way to alleviate this fear is to actually pump and then measure the breast milk in a bottle to ensure that the child is getting enough. However, if the child is growing at a satisfactory rate, this should not be a fear factor. If, however, milk is in a shortage, there are other ways to increase the milk supply besides just pumping and having the baby breastfeed more often. There are herbs and also dietary changes that can be made to increase the supply. Some other more serious issues, such as moms going through chemotherapy, radiation therapy after cancer, or eating any other kinds of medications that could be transferred through the breast milk, are serious concerns that should be addressed. Let me do that one again. That should be addressed. Breast milk donations are becoming a more popular solution for this issue. Other issues can arise for baby. Breastfeeding complications such as galactocemia, which is an inability to metabolize the simple sugars found in breast milk, or PKU, which is an inability to metabolize a specific amino acid found in breast milk, are both issues that can cause not only cognitive issues in the baby, but also physical issues as well, and it must be addressed, or this child could possibly even die from it. In this case, there are lactose-free milk alternatives available, such as cow's milk that has the lactose actually extracted from it, or other milk alternatives such as rice milk, rice milk, almond milk, or even formulas that are good. So, yep, this slide's messed up. This slide's just all messed up, that's all. So looking at breastfeeding alternatives, formula, animal milk, and other milks derived from other sources, we have tried to mimic human milk with formula, but unfortunately we are just not able to do this. And breast milk is not only the ultimate superfood for babies made just for them, but is also the ultimate milk delivery system. Animal milk is species specific. So even though goats or cow's milk may be similar in composition, goat's milk is really only made for goat babies, and cow's milk is only made for cow babies. So in summary, babies should be breastfed because breastfeeding positively affects baby physically, emotionally, and psychologically, and moms should breastfeed their babies because breastfeeding positively affects mom of baby physically, emotionally, and psychologically. So in conclusion, infants should be breastfed because breastfeeding positively affects everyone by positively affecting both mom and baby physically, emotionally, and psychologically. And here are the references for where I've got this information. Thank you.